Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we sit down with real investors, doing real deals, and uncover what's actually working in today's market. So today's guest is someone who's playing the game at a national level, Daniel Burke, who specializes in novations and wholesaling. And he's not just sticking to one market. He's moved deals semi-nationwide and also proving that with the right approach, you can scale beyond your zip code without burning out. We're also diving deep into how Daniel got started, how they're structuring complex deals remotely, and what it takes to succeed with novations in this economy. So, Daniel, thank you so much for being part of the show. So, if you don't mind, could you give us a small intro about where you're based, what pulled you into the real estate game as well?
Yeah, sure, man. So I live in Columbia, Missouri. So I live in the middle of the country, a small town. It's where the University of Missouri is, but it's like 100,000 people surrounded by cows and corn. So part of why I go nationwide is because my backyard market just isn't big enough. If we were doing all the exit strategies, sure. But for what we focus on, novations and wholesale and, just moving stuff at volume, nationwide was always really interesting to me. So that's kind of how we got there. I kind of fell into it. I spent the last 6 years before getting into REI actually pulling businesses apart and putting them back together. So I was really blessed and lucky to work with some really successful realtors, teams, flippers, a bunch of different people in a bunch of different industries. And one of my clients introduced me to a guy who's doing nationwide wholesale. And it just really struck me as an opportunity to help a lot of people when you do it the right way. One thing led to another. In October of 23, I guess I technically wrote my first wholesale contract. Then I went full time in January of 24. So we're about a year and a half in now, and it's been a lot of fun.
Amazing. Thanks for the quick intro, man. So I gotta ask, I know you do a lot of novation. How did your first novation deal look like? And how did you find it and how did you make that work?
Yeah, so I came into the space through Nick Perry, I guess is one of my earlier mentors. Nick taught me inbound marketing at scale, Google, PPC, and primarily the first year we were just assigning. We were assigning. And it was fine. It was working. We have some really great buyers that will still assign some deals to, but I started noticing that there were, like a lot of people who do novations, there were just a lot of deals that didn't fit the wholesale box, where the debt was too high, the property was in too good of condition, maybe they just weren't super motivated to actually take the discount that you have to actually move a deal. And so I felt like we kept getting grinded down on both sides, and there were just so many people that we wanted to help, we couldn't figure it out. So when I learned about novations, it clicked where if we can offer the seller more, if we can be ethical, honest, transparent about what we're doing, if we can leverage local professionals, if we can essentially sell to conventional buyers, it can open up our buyer pool to serve more people. I started reaching out to some friends who I knew who were doing novations, and all of our marketing is inbound. So we were really heavy on Google. We've shifted more to Meta, but our very first novation, technically our very first one, we made $1,000 on, technically. So I don't really count that the first one because that one was a train wreck in Mississippi. We shouldn't have tried to novate it in the first place. But our first real novation was in Calhoun, Georgia. We netted 42,000 on it. And it was really cool. It was a perfect example of why I really like novation. So it was an inbound lead, had the conversation with the seller. The seller has inherited his property from his mom. He owns 4 businesses. He knows he could just list it himself. But there's a couple little things, like probably could use a fresh coat of paint. It's got some stuff in it. He just doesn't have the time to deal with the realtor. And he also doesn't live locally. So there's a couple factors at play. And so he reaches out to us looking for a cash offer. He reaches out looking for that certainty, looking for that speed, that simplicity, right? And hey man, I've run the numbers, I've run the math. If you could offer me, somewhere around 190, I'd sell it to you today. Right. And we go, okay, well, let's see. Right. We run the math, run the comps. I think the as is on market value today was like 275 or something like that. So it was close for a wholesale, but it wasn't a slam dunk. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's a little more rural area. I didn't feel super comfortable trying to lock it up and assign it. But the rapport was there, the trust was there. He saw the value in it, and so we offered him what we did. We actually got a full price offer 2 weeks later after we hired a realtor, and it was pretty smooth sailing. I think that's it was a laydown. Mm-hmm. But there's so many examples where we have novations where they are a little more complex, and we do get to step in and really serve the seller in a really tough situation. We closed one in Kansas the beginning of last month for 34,000. She was pre-foreclosure. She didn't have the money to do any of the repairs to the house, but it was a decent house in a decent part of town. We knew we could sell it fast. And a couple things came up during it where I think like the sewer busted halfway through. And if it wasn't for us being involved in the process, nobody would have been able, like she didn't have the money to fix the sewer. So we got to step in, we got to kind of help in that moment. We still got the deal across the finish line. We saved her from foreclosure. She made money where she wasn't going to make money in the first place because a wholesale would have been less than what the mortgage was. And it just, again, overall, I think we made like 30 grand too. Like it was a really cool, she was happy, we were happy. And I love those examples where when we can assign it because it's the right move, it's the best move for all parties, we do. But just a lot of times like they want to sell fast, but they don't have to sell fast. They want the speed and convenience, but they don't need to trade they don't actually need to give away the amount of equity that it actually takes to get to the place where we can actually move the deal and where we can make money. And so that's where I really like novations a lot as an exit strategy. So the majority of our pipeline right now, I think we've got 26 active properties right now, and 23 of them are novations.
And that sounds amazing. I mean, obviously, like my next question, like which comes to my mind is like, how do you stay organized when it comes to like managing all these different markets, the sellers, timelines? How do you do it?
Yeah, I think part of it does help. Just kind of like my track record, my story, I think I understand enough of it that it's helped me bring on the right people the right way and just have the right seats in the bus. I guess to your question, I don't do it by myself. That's number one. When I was first getting started in wholesale or learning novations or any of this stuff, I'm just a big believer that we only get to where we want to go by asking for help and being willing to let other people help us, right? And so you can't do it by yourself. So I've got a great team. I think that's probably one of the best answers. I think we're at like 9. I mean, we use tools and technology, but I think it's a really easy business to try and simplify, like just down to the core nuts and bolts. It's sales and marketing on the front end. Can we find a motivated opportunity, right? Can we have a structured sales conversation with that person to identify pain and find the possible solutions? Run the comps, right? And again, when you are nationwide, I think one of the challenges I know I ran into when I first started, and we still run into it in a bit, is sometimes it's a market that I feel like the comps are good, but then for some reason, I don't know because I'm not local to Detroit, that we're on the wrong side of the street, right? Or something like that. And that's just part of it, right? Like we do the best we can. We be 100% transparent with our sellers. And sometimes we'll put something under contract. Our agent gets out there 2 or 3 days later, is like, hey, this is not going to work. That's okay. And then we have that conversation and either we adjust or it's over. But we have just such an abundance mentality, I think, that again, I'm not worried about it. We get enough deals at the top that then turn into enough conversations that turn into enough, contracts. And then from there, again, it's a pretty straightforward process. I mean, truly.
So in short, having the right people and the right mindset to get all of these things done.
That's all it is, man. People, process, systems. Yeah.
So obviously you do a lot of these deals remotely as well, right? So I know with novations, especially seller communications can be a bit tricky, right? So how do you build these trust remotely?
Good question. Yeah. So I mean, everything we do is virtual. So our entire team is virtual. Some of them are overseas virtual. Some of our state-based virtual. Right now, of our entire pipeline, I think only 2 are in even the state that I'm in. So yeah, everything we do is virtual. So I think part of it is just setting the right expectations with the seller at the beginning of saying, hey, like we are here to make this as easy as possible. We will try and keep it as simple as possible. We're not going to be reaching out to you every day for stuff. We'll try it again. Like if we need disclosures or signature, like we're going to try and be efficient, effective, and but also, brother, like if I need something from you, I need you to respond. And like we will be on top of communication and you'll hear from us every week, even if we don't have an update. So again, I think just little things of saying like, hey, if I reach out to you, like I do need a response within 24 hours, because while we are trying to keep this as simple as possible for you, there is a ton of time sensitive things going on behind the scenes that we're dealing with on your behalf. So again, if I reach out, like I need to know what's going on and I need to have clear communication. And then again, we try and set that with the team as well. Like at the handoff from acquisitions to dispositions, right? the expectation is my dispositions, transaction coordinating team, like they're reaching that seller today. They're having a conversation today or within 24 hours. We're sending a text, we're sending an email, we're resetting that trust tree handoff. But yeah, just phone calls, man. Just phone calls. But you gotta stay on top of it for sure.
And like obviously you're using closer control, right? So how do you use closer control to basically help you streamline your follow-up as well as communication across the markets?
So we're actually pretty new to closure control. We just came on, I think, less than a month ago. I was talking to my acquisitions guy about this. Is we were using Investor Fuse, we were using smartphone, and the texting ability was there, but it just wasn't as seamless as it is here. We're already doing a little bit of like the AI bot before, but one thing we've noticed has just been the speed with which we can stay on top of text communication and how seamless it is to, we're working through the pipeline. Sometimes you're managing a lot of multiple conversations at once, and sometimes the conversations are things like, hey, I sent you this, did you get it? So I've really enjoyed the nurture sequences as those are continuing on. A lead that we had 4 or 5 days ago that we've called every day, we've texted every day, we've done our manual outreach, and then for some reason they respond to the automated outreach that continues on on the other hours when we're not manually on it. So I know that at scale, back to your question of like people, process, tools, technology, right? We're really excited about the integration with closure control of being able to leverage some of that at scale.
Well, that's nice to hear. It's always nice to hear like our customers are happy with closure control products. And one last question before I let you go. Let's say for someone who's looking to get into the novations or basically expand outside of the local market, what advice would you give somebody like that?
I think, back to the earlier thought of just don't be afraid to ask for help. I think there's just so many different ways to do it. There's so many different approaches. There's different formulas. There's different things. But at the core of what this industry is, it's serving, it's helping people. And so just recognizing that there are people all across the country that need help. And if you can figure out a way to have conversations with people, regardless of their zip code, the process is the same. It might look a little different than being able to go physically walk the property, but there are ways around it, and there are other people that you can JV with or tools or technology. So if you're already closing deals, it's really not that hard. It's different and it requires different things, but it's not that different. Got to figure out what you like. I know some guys who went nationwide and then pulled back, and now they're just local guys. But that's because they realize that's how they're wired. That's what they're built for. That's what they want to do. Like on the other end is I love my community and I do want to do more deals here, but it's just there's a limited population density. And so by default, we are nationwide.
Well, that's amazing advice, Daniel. So obviously, for a lot of the guys who basically want to get into the game, they have to basically figure out where exactly they're comfortable with and what exactly works best for them at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's it for today, Daniel. Thank you so much for being here on the show. And here you have it, folks. Daniel Burke giving you valuable insights on novations and how we got started. And obviously, if you guys are looking to get in the game, if you want some advice, or if you're looking to do deals in the same market, you know who to reach out. He'll be more than happy to help you guys out over there. And once again, thank you so much for being here on the show. Tune in next week. We'll be bringing in new investors with new stories as well as new updates.